was today's objective?
To discuss about interaction.
Why?
Because we need to learn how to interact better with our students, from teacher to student, from student to student, and maybe from teacher to teacher, so we can learn together, because we are a community of learners.
Okay, so what is a good way of interacting more with your students, Ramon? What's a...
The interaction of teacher-student?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe with the split classroom, create different possibilities of communication inside or outside the classroom.
Okay. Anyone else have any ideas about how to increase interaction between teacher and student?
I think that there's not only way to a fixed way to do it. You have to have the ability and the flexibility to identify along the teaching process which are the best ways to reach the communication in those facets.
All right. Think about an example where you had to be flexible in creating this interaction between you and your students. Can anyone think of a specific case, maybe a situation where you had to adapt?
Maybe when you post a problem, you can be flexible in the way they're going to give the answer. Maybe written, maybe through the email, maybe in the platform, giving some alternative possibilities.
Have you tried that, Alex? That's a good idea. Have you tried it?
Yeah, no, not yet, but I know that, I mean, when someone forget to upload the assignment in the Moodle, I say, okay, send them to my email or print it and give it. Yeah.
And how do they react to that? Has anyone done, first of all, has anyone done something similar to that with your students? Okay. How do they react? Did they indicate whether that was favorable? Did they like that, or was it, or did you get a negative response from your students?
Basically, because they thinking about the grade, they
I think that they are relaxed, but they are disorientated sometimes.
Yeah.
They feel comfortable with the teaching process or with the interaction, but sometimes they get lost.
And they are not used to do different things than a regular class, teacher center, in which the teacher gives all the information and that's all. For them, it's like strange or weird to do dynamic things in the class. Well, that's my case. I don't know if you're
Just saying for.
And
they are not used to think. That's the problem.
So how much of it?
To listen, and maybe from their listening will be just 10%. Well, will remain in their minds.
All right. So how much of this problem of adapting from your student standpoint comes from the input part, that is what they receive, the content, and how much of it relates to the type of interaction that you ask them to do? Because do you see the slight difference there?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so how much of this problem that you're describing here, they're not, something about the class they're not liking, how much of it comes from this input, how they receive the content versus the actual interaction piece?
Well, I think that it's totally related, because you have to, if you want to be flexible, you also have to develop ways of reaching students with the content.
Yeah.
With adapting the materials and all the possibilities that you want to manage in the process. So if you only give them one way, you will get fewer answers or fewer ways of interaction in the process. So I think it's related it's related to the way you deliver the input and how you adapt it.
What's the difference between reaching students? Because you mentioned I want the content reach the students, and what's the difference between that and students interacting with the content? What's the difference?
Well, for me, reaching students is just what is happening in our regular class, right? They just listen what we are telling them. Interacting is, for me, it's a bidirectional way of communication in which the student has an active role. So they do participate, they do respond, they do interact. I mean, for me, interaction is a much deeper way of communication with our students. And I agree with Manuel because it's totally related to our input. We can give them the information, but the problem is that maybe we are also just used to give the information like that, and we stop there and we don't do another activity in which they will apply that knowledge or that input that we give to our students. So that's why actually I'm trying just to give the information online, and my time in class is just to interact with my students in problem solving clinical cases.
All right. So you mentioned bi-directional forms of communication, right? So communication can be one way, can be bi-directional, can be both ways. What would be some more concrete examples, some scenarios where your students in your class have interacted with content in a bi-directional way? So maybe you could talk about how you presented the content, and then this idea of bi-directional.
For example, when you talk about what's the best way to reach a solution, I mean, you're making this dialogue with the student, this interaction about a central topic, and you get both to reach an agreement about something.
To reach a consensus.
Consensus, yes.
And so what your example, if I understand you correctly, is one way is through group discussions,
Could be.
one teacher to the whole group. Okay?
Yeah, several activities like, for example, think, pair, and share in a problem-solving situation. Jigsaw strategy also for solving a problem. I mean, it's more dynamic. If I want to interact with my student, should be a strategy that is dynamic, that they can maybe move and get a consensus and then solve the problem.
All right, so both of your examples, I feel, tend to relate to the in-class, face-to-face experience. You mentioned group discussions, you mentioned Jigsaw, very concrete examples of think, pair, share. Are there any examples that would also extend this bi-directional type of communication, but beyond the classroom, outside the classroom? Any ideas, Alex or Ramon, like some other ways that you might have create this opportunity for your students?
I think when students talk or write or made a homework or report, or several opportunities that they produce some communications. If they use the contents, and if they use the keywords, and if they use the methodologies, it's a signal that they interact with the content, and with us too, because all these communication opportunities help us to assess or to evaluate what is the content interaction of the students beyond the interaction teacher-student or students.
Can you provide some examples of your students sharing that information or that knowledge?
Yeah,
That
because
might-
for example, when students do presentations, we can appreciate if they use the content that we studied in the previous part of the
And
course.
would this happen in class or outside of class?
This one is inside
Okay.
when they do a presentation.
Okay, can you think of an example outside of class, perhaps?
Outside the class,
Uh-huh.
maybe when they talk with the peers, we can or they can use the contents in their conversation.
All right, and who would be their peers?
What
Who are their peers?
their peers are their friends or their
Other students.
Classmates.
colleagues of the same
And
class, or maybe with another.
University.
When you have interinstitutional
Yeah.
exchange of students, what they are talking about.
All right, and then what evidence would you look for that they did that interaction? How would you know?
It's not easy to know, but if we are attentive, we can catch sometimes that our students speak differently, that they use a more appropriate language.
Are there any ways that, of course I agree, are there any ways in that example that Ramon's
Yes.
shared, which is a very good example, is there a way that he could know could be more sure of those types of activities or those interactions that happen outside? Any suggestions?
Use a forum.
yes.
In a forum, you can track everything, and you can also guide the discussion. So because you will see the answers of the students, the interaction between them, and then you can also participate. And if they get lost, you can redirect the discussion to the place you want.
Every time.
And you have the evidence, and
Yeah.
you can track who is interacting and who is not interacting. That's a great way.
Is there anything else beyond the text, the conversations, using even forums? Any other options that he could do?
Maybe like I don't know how the hang on the
Hangout?
hands out, maybe through video.
Video
The use of video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The use of video, whether it's Hangouts or even a phone. Hey, an interview.
Yeah.
Could be an interview.
And maybe they can go and ask to the expert outside the class and ask for the advice about the topic.
Great example.
They collaborate in a network on, about a topic.
That's right.